Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Mariah and this is the second time that I'm filming this video because for whatever reason my computer would not let me export this video. But so anyway, this is going to be me going over my 2025 writing goals, and I have them kind of separated into two different sections of like goals and intentions. Now I did this because I think it's really important to have like tangible actionable goals throughout the year to keep you on track for, what you want to accomplish. But I also think it's really nice to have more little goals or like habits or things that you intend to do. That's why I'm calling them intentions. Things that I strive to do or be, and I think that is also a really important part of achieving goals, is like having a good mindset. So let's get into this. I hope you will make a cozy drink. I actually don't have one today. Today has been kind of chaotic, but I want to try and get this video done for you guys. So I hope you grab a snack, a cozy drink, and join me for this planning of my goals. So my first goal is that in January, I want to finish my first draft. I am pretty close. I think that January will be plenty of time to finish if I really spend the time each week to do some writing. And I want to get this done as fast as possible because I want to start revising. I want to start going back and adding the things that I know I want to add. I feel like there's a lot that I already plan on doing in my second draft. So I want to go ahead and get this first draft out of the way and finished so that I can move on to revising. And speaking of revising, I am going to focus on that in February through June. Now, I hope that this is a realistic timeline for a couple of reasons. I have no idea how long it's going to take me to go over my first draft and add things and edit. I've never done that before, so I don't know what my pace is going to be like and how fast I can get that done. But I'm giving myself February through June, and hopefully that will be a decent amount of time. I might have to extend it, to be honest, but for right now, I'm leaving it February through June. The second reason that I really hope that this is enough time is because we are having a baby, and the baby is going to come anytime at the end of March or beginning of April. So that kind of cuts into that time. And I'm assuming that when I first have the baby for the first month or two, I'm not going to be getting a lot done. So I'm giving myself some extra time, hopefully. And if I go past this and editing actually takes me a really long time, that's okay. These aren't like super set, strict goals for myself. I think I'm just trying to figure out what my process is like and estimating with very little knowledge here. So yes, anyway, tomorrow. Next year is going to be a really big year for us. There's going to be a lot going on, and so I'm not going to put too much pressure on myself, but I also want to keep in mind that this is what I want to get done. This is something that I want to do, and I don't want the whole year to slip by just because it's busy and chaotic and we didn't plan ahead. So that was my intention for going into this, with some goals and some intentions. Another goal that I have for next year is that by July, I want to submit my poetry 20 times to be published. So this is something that I really want to work on doing, is putting myself out there and really putting my art out there and hoping to find some people who believe in it as much as I do and would like for it to be published. And of course, I can't control if it is published or not, but I want to do my part and put myself out there. So I want to submit at least 20 times as far as my poetry goes. Assuming that I finish revising by June, now for some reason I'm kind of panicking and thinking that is absolutely not going to happen, but we're just going to go with it. So assuming that I finish that, in July and August, I want to find beta readers and have them give me feedback. So I would love to go through that process if I'm feeling good enough, if my draft is in a good place. Hopefully I will be able to get some feedback on it and see what people are thinking and how it's going. So that would be really valuable. And my last sort of actionable goal for the year is that by December, I want to grow my channel to 1,000 subscribers. Now, you guys have already been so kind and amazing. Thank you for helping me build this little community where we can talk to each other as writers and readers and really share our process and our journey, advice. You guys have been so helpful already to me, and I am so excited to see where this goes next year because your support already means so much to me, and there are almost 200 of you, and the number keeps growing. It is insane how fast that has happened, so I am forever thankful to you guys, but also so excited to see where this goes. And I want to grow this little community of ours and get more people in here, and I would really like to do that next year and focus on growing my channel by December. And now we're going to step more into my intentions for 2025. Now, these are things that are not necessarily set pursuable goals, but more things that I want to incorporate into my everyday life, and they kind of stack onto each other, so you'll see what I mean. The first one is that I want to write every week. Now, of course, there are, I'm sure, going to be at least a few weeks in there that I do not get to writing, so I'm not expecting to be perfect. But my intention is to make writing a habit, and I am very much one of those people who have a million different hobbies, and I think the seasons also really affect my mood and my mental health and everything, so I want to strive to accommodate for that and really focus on making writing a habit. I can very easily get distracted by my other hobbies and not do a lot of them because I'm so focused on one, and then in a couple months I never touch that and I want to do one of my other hobbies. So I really hope that I can make writing a habit and not get so off track because I get distracted or because I'm not feeling very good. And I think it's important to take care of yourself and rest when you need it, but I also recognize that in order to build habits and in order to accomplish things, you have to do things even when you don't necessarily feel like it. So there's a balance there for sure, but that is something that I want to set out to do in 2025. Another thing that I want to put out there is that I want to focus on pace and setting for my second draft. Now, this is something that I briefly touched on in another video, which I will link up here, but my writing process very often excludes setting, and I don't know why that is. I think that's just not something my mind focuses on, and I've tried to consciously put an effort in my draft to correct that, but I feel like for the first few chapters at least, there is absolutely no mention of where they're at, what it looks like, what kind of place they're in. It's just not there at all. So I really want to focus on putting that in the second draft. And I think this is pretty common for second drafts, but I want to focus on the pace and figuring out how the story unfolds. Because of course the first draft or the zero draft, whatever you want to call it, is mostly just getting it down on paper and figuring out what the story is, and then you can work on how to tell it or how fast parts should be and all of that. So those are the two things that I want to focus on in my second draft. Now just inhaled something. Now another thing that I think will happen automatically as I keep writing, but I do want to put it out there so that maybe it'll at least be subconsciously in my mind, is developing my author voice. Now it's, of course, I think all of our goals as writers to have a specific voice for your authors, and I think that might change between books or series, different things that you're writing, of course, but I really want to develop who I am as an author and how I tell my stories, because I think it's really important how you convey things to your readers. And I think that says a lot about you as an author. I think, your style, all of your little quirks that you develop really go into how you tell a story. And I think that is such a cool thing. And I really, really enjoy that. In some of my favorite books, the author is such a character. It's almost like the narrator is involved in the story. And I think that is such a cool thing. And that really shows you what you can do with literature. And now I'm not saying maybe that's what I'm going to do specifically, but there are so many ways to do very creative things as an author, and I want to, not limit myself. So I really want to have my own author voice. Now again, not going to focus so much on that, but I think it'll naturally develop as I progress. One thing that I very much want to be intentional about in 2025 is finding little routines for myself. I think that having some sort of structure in your life is very important. Now, for me, having a very rigid structure of my day or my week does not work out for me. It never has been my cup of tea. I don't think that's where I thrive, and, personality-wise, it just doesn't work. But having no structure is also very chaotic, because then I just end up doing nothing or a whole lot of random things that don't add up to anything. And so I want to find little routines. Now, this could be as simple as when I make my cup of coffee in the morning, or tea, or whatever it is I'm drinking, I can, make it a routine where I sit and think about my day, what my expectations are, kind of center myself, ground myself for the day in what I want to accomplish. And it could also extend to when I'm sitting down to write. Maybe I have a little routine that gets me in the mood of okay, this is the project that I'm working on, this is where we're at, I'm getting into the groove of writing. So things like that. I want to find little routines that help ground me in what it is I want to accomplish and what my goals are, just so that I don't lose track of half of the day because I wasn't very intentional with my time. So I think that will be very crucial for me in 2025, especially having a baby. Of course, that time is going to be chaotic. We're going to be figuring out our lives, and it's going to be all very exciting and tiring, I'm sure. But I also want to take the time to still, remember my goals and who I am, and kind of give myself a little bit of structure even in the chaos, So that is something that I'm really looking forward to, actually, is having those little moments of okay, this is what I want to do, this is where I'm at, and just little routines to help ground me throughout the day. We are at the last intention for 2025, and this is kind of a funny one, but I thought it was really important to include because, again, like I said before, I think your mindset going into things can really help or hurt you. I think it can be really important. And one thing that I really want to focus on for the entirety of 2025 is to just be delusional. I want to disregard all of my imposter syndrome, self-doubt, thinking I'm not good enough, whatever those feelings are. I want to throw them aside and say, these are my goals and I'm going after them, and forget about the rest. I don't want to second guess myself and doubt myself at every turn, because then you end up feeling like, who am I? And why is what I'm doing important? Who cares about any of this? As most artists do, I think writers, artists, singers, all kinds of creative people go through this and really can struggle with this of feeling like they're not good enough or like they're not important enough. But again, I'm choosing to be delusional and say, no, none of that. I'm going to believe in myself more than anybody else. I'm going to set these goals that might seem delusional to me now, but I'm going to actively work on them. So who says I can't attain them? You know what I mean? Selena Gomez will always be queen of that. So let's not forget that if we are actively working towards something, that's powerful. And that, that's very different than saying this outlandish goal and not working towards it and never having done the thing before. I think that's very different, two very different situations. So, again, we're doing the work, putting the work in, and allowing ourselves to just believe in ourselves wholeheartedly. So, yeah, I think that is my ultimate goal for 2025 is to be delusional. Well, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that this was an okay video. Again, this is my second time filming it, so I hope I didn't leave anything out. Again, I want to thank you so much for being here and creating such a warm and welcoming community for me and for each other. I hope that we will get to know each other, continue to grow as a community in the comments down below and in fellow videos if you are an authortuber, which there seems to be quite a few of us, which is really exciting. So again, thank you for being here, and I hope that you will share this little community and get it growing so we can reach our goal next year. But also, I hope that if you liked this video, you will like it. Comment down below what your goals are for 2025 and what you are working on, if you're on your first draft, second draft, all those different kinds of things. I would love to get to know you and your project, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye! I hope this one works.